In the Senate, it takes 51 out of 100 votes to pass legislation, and currently, the Democrats effectively hold the majority. So why is there so much gridlock? Well, it's all thanks to a little thing called the filibuster. Here's how it works. A bill is introduced and brought to the floor, and senators debate the contents of that bill. Senators can extend debate on a bill and then attempt to delay or block a vote on the House floor. This is called a filibuster. Now, to stop this filibustering, senators can bring the debate to a close by invoking what is known as a cloture motion under Senate Rule 22. After cloture is filed, senators vote on the motion. If it gets 60 votes or more, the debate is ended and the bill goes to the floor for a vote. If there aren't 60 votes, then essentially the debate is allowed to continue in perpetuity. But thankfully, this doesn't bring Senate business to a halt. In 1970, Democrats, under the leadership of Majority Leader Mike Mansfield and Majority Whip Robert Byrd, decided to change the rules and implement a two-track system. And that means if the majority doesn't have 60 votes to end debate, the measure gets put on the back burner and the Senate can move on to other business. So when you hear that the Senate doesn't have the votes to pass a bill, it's usually referring to not having the votes to first end the debate. Again, you can't vote on a bill until the debate ends, and this has stymied a lot of legislation. But of course, there has been a movement by Democrats and the left to get rid of the filibuster, mostly by painting it as racist. Here's Senator Elizabeth Warren on the matter.
The year after the Senate established Rule 22, an anti-lynching bill was introduced. A small group of senators hell-bent on upholding white supremacy decided to flex the new rule and filibuster the legislation.
Warren is referring to the Dyer anti-lynching bill named after Republican Congressman Leonidas C. Dyer from Missouri. The group of senators who blocked the bill were, wait for it, Southern Democrats. I know you're shocked.
During the Jim Crow era, Southern senators continued to use the filibuster as a tool to block civil rights legislation, and only civil rights legislation.
A couple things here. Strom Thurmond was a Democrat, just like Elizabeth Warren. But while he did in fact filibuster the Civil Rights Act of 1957, it didn't prevent it from becoming law because there were enough votes to break the filibuster and pass the bill. In fact, more Republican senators voted for the bill than Democrats. Southern Democrats also attempted to filibuster the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but they were cut off by cloture, and the bill passed by a vote of 73 to 27. Even though the filibuster didn't block this landmark legislation, Warren's gonna mention it anyway, because it helps to paint her narrative. And then there's former President Barack Obama. While giving a eulogy at Congressman John Lewis's funeral, Obama called for the Senate to take drastic measures.
And if all this takes eliminating the filibuster, another Jim Crow relic, in order to secure the God-given rights of every American, then that's what we should do.
Now, the filibuster has nothing to do with racial legislation or Jim Crow laws, but it is in the way of the Democrats' agenda, and of course, that means it's our word. Except when it isn't. Back in 2005, when Republicans controlled both the House and the Senate, and there was a threat of eliminating the filibuster, then Senator Barack Obama was very much a proponent.
Everyone in this chamber knows that if the majority chooses to end the filibuster, if they choose to change the rules and put an end to democratic debate, then the fighting and the bitterness and the gridlock will only get worse.
Obama used the racist filibuster 24 times during his half-term in the Senate, including a filibuster of the Supreme Court nomination of Samuel Alito.
The American people sent us here to be their voice. What they don't expect is for one party, be it Republican or Democrat, to change the rules in the middle of the game so that they can make all the decisions while the other party is told to sit down and keep quiet.
So, if you haven't figured it out by now, it's not about racism, it's about power.
Regarding the filibuster, at John Lewis's funeral, President Barack Obama said he believed the filibuster was a relic of the Jim Crow era. Do you agree?
Yes.
If not, why not abolish it if it's a relic of the Jim Crow era?
Successful electoral politics is the art of the possible. Let's figure out how we can get this done.
But like Barack Obama before him, he had no problem defending it when it suited his needs.
Republicans control the Senate, and they've decided that they're going to change the rule. At its core, the filibuster is not about stopping a nominee or a bill. It's about compromise and moderation. That's why the founders put unlimited debate in.
Compromise, moderation, founders, filibuster.
Folks who want to see this change want to eliminate one of the procedural mechanisms designed for the express purpose of guaranteeing individual rights, and they also, as a consequence, would undermine the protections of a minority point of view in the heat of majority excess. We've been through these periods before in American history, but never, to the best of my knowledge, has any party been so bold as to fundamentally attempt to change the structure of this body.
But on March 25th, during his first press conference as president,
That it used to be that from between 1917 and 1971, the filibuster existed. There were a total of 58 motions to break a filibuster. That whole time. Last year alone, there were 5 times that many. So it's being abused in a gigantic way.
except that during Trump's presidency, Democrats used the filibuster a record amount of times. In fact, more than all previous presidents combined. So does that mean that Biden thinks that the Democrats are racist for using and abusing the filibuster? Nah, he was probably just confusing it with Republicans, whatever. So back in 2013, the Democrats, frustrated by the Republicans filibustering executive nominees, voted 52-48 to invoke what is known as the nuclear option.
The threshold for cloture on nominations, not including those to the Supreme Court of the United States, is now a majority. That is the ruling of the chair.
So with that ruling, instead of needing 60 votes to end debate, you now only needed a simple majority. But again, this ruling was only applied to judicial nominations and cabinet picks.
If you want to play games, set yet another precedent that you'll no doubt come to regret. Say to my friends on the other side of the aisle, you'll regret this, and you may regret it a lot sooner than you think.
And regret it they did. The Republicans, under leader Mitch McConnell, were able to confirm 234 Trump-nominated Article 3 judges, including 54 Circuit Court judges. And when Democrats were set to filibuster the nomination of Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch, McConnell changed the rules and filed cloture in order to end debate and bring a vote to the floor. And with leader McConnell extending the nuclear option to Supreme Court nominations, he made it possible to confirm Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett with less than the 60 votes previously required. Yeah, Payback's a bitch. And even though it would be detrimental for their party if they lose their majority in the Senate, Democrats are this close to changing the rule that would get rid of the filibuster completely. But currently, Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema have expressed their concern about eliminating the filibuster and would likely vote against the nuclear option. And that means that they're in the way and must be stopped at all costs. In an interview with Politico, Reverend Al Sharpton said, "The pressure that we are going to put on Sinema and Manchin is calling the filibuster racist and saying that they are, in effect, supporting racism. Why would they be wedded to something that has those results? Their voters need to know that. Once you outlive your usefulness, the left will do everything in their power to label you as the enemy." Sad, really.
To follow up on the filibuster, so do you believe it should take 60 votes to end a filibuster on legislation or 51?
If we could end it with 51, we would have no problem. You're going to have to, the existing rule, it's going to be hard to get a parliamentary ruling that allows 50 votes to end the filibuster, the existence of a filibuster. It's not my expertise in what the parliamentary rules and how to get there are, but
Now, I know what you're thinking. Biden served in the Senate for 36 years, served as the president of the Senate for 8 years, and is the 18th longest serving member in the history of the Senate. So, while you might expect Joe to be an expert on Senate rules, you'd be giving him too much credit.
And so I'm going to say something outrageous. I have never been particularly poor at calculating how to get things done in the United States Senate. So the best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, Anyway,
That's it for now. Slam that like button, and while you're at it, subscribe to the channel. Then pick up some Clown World shirts and more in my merch store, and be sure to check out these videos that you may have missed. As always, thanks for tuning in, and hope to see you next time. If there is a next time.